Hello, I'm Charlie from UCAS and I'm going to be talking you through in today's short video clearing and adjustment and everything you need to know for the summer. So what I'm going to do is talk you through the key dates of what happens when, outlining the basic principles, how everything works. I'll then be giving you some of the resources that UCAS have to support teachers and advisors through the summer. As well as then talking about some of the updates for 2021. So first of all, just thinking about when everything happens. So clearing begins right at the beginning of July. So most people will associate clearing with the period around results day on this year on the 10th of August, but actually it runs right from the 5th of July this year to the 19th of October. So it's an extended period in which students are able to secure a place at university or college at the end of the admissions cycle. As I said, most of the activity happens on results day, which for this year is the 10th of August. Now normally Scottish students receive their results a week or so before the rest of the UK. But for this year, it's amalgamated into one large results day where all of the activity will be happening. As well, this year, as I'm sure you will be aware, results day is happening on a Tuesday rather than a Thursday. And this is just to allow a bit more time for people to kind of go through the process, understand what they need to do, and have support that they need throughout the process. GCSE results day is usually a week after A-level results, but again, this year it's been brought forward to support the process. Normally, students need to have their places confirmed by universities by the end of August, but this year it's been extended by another week, just to allow a bit more extra time to support students being able to demonstrate to universities they've met the conditions, but also to give students that extra flexibility to confirm they can do what they want to do. So a big part of the clearing period is confirmation. So students will hopefully, when they enter clearing, be holding a conditional or a conditional offer, and maybe a conditional firm choice and a conditional insurance choice. At UCAS, we process in the region of about 4.5 million individual exam results each year. So we get the results from the examining bodies and pass them on to the universities before the students receive them, to allow the universities to make what we call confirmation decisions. And in terms of confirmation, I'm just going to go through the four different things that can happen. So if a student meets the conditions of their firm offer, they will automatically become placed at that university. If they don't meet the conditions, they only narrowly miss out, they might still be able to be confirmed and be placed. So we always tell students, just because your grades aren't what you needed doesn't mean you haven't ended up where you wanted to go. So always students need to check track to make sure they understand what the outcome of the confirmation decision was. If students are rejected by their firm choice, but they held an insurance choice, if they meet the conditions of that insurance choice, then they'll automatically become placed there as well. If they don't meet the conditions of their insurance choice and they've already missed out on their firm choice, what they'll then do is become eligible for clearing. And I'm going to talk through clearing throughout the rest of the session in the different ways that people are eligible, different ways of how they can use it, and just kind of walk through the process. Adjustment is only very hardly used anymore. It's used by less than 0.5% of all students placed through UCAS, and I'll talk you through that briefly at the end. So in terms of what clearing is, we know when it happens, so it's the 5th of July to the 19th of October, and there's 4 separate ways that students become eligible for clearing. One is that they apply through the normal cycle, so they maybe applied back in January or any point before the 30th of June and they haven't received offers, or they've applied but they have declined offers that they've received. Another way to be eligible is if they have holding conditional offers, which they are rejected at confirmation, as we just talked through. Or, and this is an increasingly common way for students to get placed through clearing, is they can submit a new UCAS application after the 30th of June at 6 PM, which means the application goes directly into clearing. And when a student's application goes directly into clearing, basically what happens is they complete the same application that everybody else has done, but in the choices section, they aren't able to add anything. So all they're doing is they're submitting the application, and then as soon as they submit the application, they're eligible for clearing. And I'll talk you through now how students will use clearing practically. So a student will log into Track. On Track, it will say, this is your clearing number. This shows that you are eligible for clearing. What they then need to do is they need to find vacancies that they're interested in, that they want to study. So what they'll do, they'll use the UCAS search tool on ucas.com, find a vacancy. They will then need to contact a university directly to discuss whether that provider, that university or college, would like to make them an offer. If the university says yes, they would like to make them an offer, what then needs to happen is the student then needs to add their choice on Track. The university will then confirm their place, and then hopefully they will be placed. So students shouldn't be adding anything until they've had a conversation with the university and the university has confirmed they're happy to make that student an offer. So just so it's clear, on Track, when students log in, you will see very clearly, they will see their eligibility, they'll see their clearing number, and it will be very, very clear. If they don't have a clearing number, it means they're not eligible for it. Students for this year will be able to add a clearing choice on results day from 2 o'clock. I'll go through that in a bit more detail later on. And there's also something to be aware of for students is that at certain points throughout the cycle, during what we call the embargo, they won't be able to access the advisor portal. I'll go through all of that in a bit more detail and the specific timings for that later on, but it's worth just saying that when the embargo is in place, students won't be able to access the UCAS application. So clearing is every year it gets more and more popular. More students are successfully using clearing to get a great place at university or college. And rather than it just being, as in the past, perhaps clearing had a bit of a negative connotation attached to it. It was a bit of a, people thought, oh, it's a bit of a backdoor. But I always say to a student, if you get a place in clearing, you will probably never talk about how you got your place at university with your friends when you get there. It doesn't matter whether you get there through clearing, whether it's your firm choice. Once you're at university, then that's a great sort of stepping stone to move on. As you can see, year on year, more and more students are getting placed by clearing. So last year it was nearly 90,000. A couple of years ago it was only down at 50,000. So we're really seeing a huge increase in the numbers of people applying successfully in clearing. Last year, for the first time, we introduced something called Clearing Plus, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit more detail in the next couple of slides. But basically, Clearing Plus was introduced as a kind of response to the fact that clearing has been changing. Rather than just being used as a plan B, clearing is a great way to get a personalised option in clearing. And as I said, I'll go through that in a bit more detail in a moment. So Clearing Plus is a sort of additional feature. Students don't have to register separately for it. Clearing Plus opens, at the start of clearing. So on the 5th of July, eligible students will be able to see Clearing Plus in Track. Students don't need to register for it themselves. As soon as they're eligible, I said it will appear there. And basically what it does is it allows students to be matched to vacancies that will be suitable for their profile. And on the next slide, there's a bit of a kind of a visual representation to show you what that looks like. With clearing, there's lots of ways that we support you at UCAS as a teacher, as an advisor, and I'll talk through some of those in a moment. But one of the key ways that we do it is we send you on results day a unplaced applicant report, and this basically says these are your students who are placed, but more importantly, these ones who aren't placed, these are the ones who perhaps need a bit more focus. So Clearing Plus then, so what it is an algorithm that matches students who are in clearing to vacancies that are available in clearing. So what happens is universities will set up their criteria, so they'll put their entry course, they'll put their details down. It will then appear on a student's dashboard in Track. They will then be able to confirm their interest in it, and that will then just tell the provider that student is interested, and then either the student can contact the university, the provider themselves, or in some cases the university will contact the student directly as well. So moving on then to Decline My Place. So this was introduced a couple of years ago now, and it basically allows students who are confirmed at a place at university, if they want to, they're able to decline their own place. So basically this allows students to move quicker between places. In the past, sometimes there's been a frustration for students. They've had to wait to be released. And so basically what happens is they click on this option that says decline my place. It will then give them a list of options telling us why they want to decline their place. They go through that, and then by doing that, they're automatically making themselves eligible to use clearing. In the past, applicants would have to wait for university to do this, and as I said, sometimes it could be a real source of frustration, a real cause of issues for students, and it would mean that students would be contacting universities a lot, and the whole system was kind of getting clogged up. So this is just a way to help kind of smooth things through. So before we go on to adjustment, just wanted to talk to you through some of the resources which we're making available at UCAS for you as teachers and advisors. So on our website, we've got a dedicated section for advisors, which is there all year round, but we've just updated and just released this week the new resources for clearing for 2021. So do have a look at that. We've got things like lesson plans. We've got all of the information that you need to help you support your students, including the toolkits. The toolkits are full of great activities and lesson plans for you to introduce clearing and maybe explain clearing to students who might not know what they need to do. We've also been running, and we can continue to run, I think the next one is July the 7th, webinars on clearing for teachers and advisors. So do look out for that. These are people from UCAS just talking through the whole kind of clearing process from an advisor perspective. I mentioned already the results day emails for advisors and students. So we will communicate out with students directly, individually, about their individual application status, but we'll also, as I said, send unplaced applicant details to you at registered UCAS centres on the morning of results day, so you're able to support those students who will need that support from you. We've also got our customer success team. Basically, they're the team that you ring up if you need help with anything at UCAS, and they'll be on hand right the way throughout confirmation and clearing to support you in whatever way you need. We're also, and you've hopefully noticed over the last year or so, increasing our presence on social media. We're doing lots and lots of different content to support students and teachers through the summer. We are going to be doing again this year something called the Big Results Day Show. I did it for the first time last year with Vic Hope from Radio 1, hosting over a couple of days basically a TV show on Facebook, and this is talking through everything that students need to know, not only about kind of confirmation clearing, but then kind of looking ahead to starting university as well. So really great way for students to engage and find out information in a format that they're kind of used to and want to see. So I just wanted to briefly talk about adjustment. So adjustment is only used by a really small proportion of students each year. As you can see, 270 students in 2020. So really tiny numbers, but it's just something to be aware of. Basically, what adjustment is it allows students who are holding a firm choice, if they meet or exceed the original conditions of their offer, they are able to adjust their place at university. So basically what they can do is they're confirmed a choice, but they can actually speak to a different university and get their place adjusted, so they're not releasing themselves into clearing and go through it that way. It's only available for a 5-day period for each individual student from the point that they get confirmed, and it expired regardless of that when the 5-day period starts. It expires on the 18th of August. As you can see just from the explanation, it's a little bit fiddly, it's a little bit hard to explain. Sometimes universities will prefer to accept students through clearing, and that's absolutely fine, but it's just something to be aware of. And you can read more about adjustment on ucas.com. Students who originally accepted an unconditional offer, as we're saying, aren't eligible for adjustment because they haven't, they haven't met and exceeded the original conditions because there weren't any conditions. It's there, something to be aware of, and if students ask you about it, you can direct them to our pages on ucas.com. So just wanted to sort of finish with a couple of resources and other things which are new for 2021. So in the past, students, and I remember when I got my place at university a long time ago, I got a letter from UCAS. As everything's gone digital, all of the letters have came online, and they were in track. There was a section for letters. Now for this year, students won't get a confirmation letter. Main reason that we kept it going so long is to allow students who wanted to open a student bank account, they would have to take a copy of the letter to the bank. We're now working with the vast majority of UK banks to verify their details using our database, obviously securely and completely sort of data compliant. So the AS12 letter won't be available for students. The embargo period, so this is the period when confirmation decisions are made at universities and when students aren't able to access track, and you as a teacher or an advisor aren't able to access the advisor portal. The embargo period this year will start on the 4th of August at midday and will run right up until results day, 8:30 in the morning. In previous years, we used to have 2 embargo periods, one for students receiving results in Scotland and then one for students in the rest of the UK, but they would have impacted both in terms of access. This year it's only 1 period. And as I mentioned earlier, this year students on results day can add their clearing choices from 2 p.m. In the past it's been slightly later, it's been coming down each year, but 2 p.m. This year going forward. So I mentioned the advisor webinars. The next one to look out for is the one in early July for clearing. If you don't receive our newsletter, hopefully you've already signed up for it, but if you haven't, please do sign up for it. We'll be communicating out all of the information you need to know about clearing throughout the summer via the newsletter, as well as on our social channels. And if you haven't looked at our professional development platform, on there we'll have a range of resources, including modules on clearing for teachers and advisors. So do have a look at that, and there's links to that there. It's pdp.ucas.com to access everything that you need. And lastly, hopefully today has given you a great kind of starting point for everything that you need to know ahead of the summer. But if you do have any questions about anything, whether it be an operational thing I would discuss today or a specific query about an individual student, please reach out and speak to our teams. We've got telephone numbers and emails there. Our team, my team, the training team, accessible on email, and we're more than happy to help you at any point throughout the summer. So please don't hesitate to ask. We'd also be really grateful if you could take a couple of moments just to complete the evaluation of today's session. It'd be great to know, how these sessions are hitting, whether they're hitting the mark, whether we need to do more. And as I said, we are really sort of heavily present on social media, particularly for teachers and advisors, Facebook and Twitter. But for students now as well, we are active on TikTok for the first time. So if students are speaking to students about UCAS, you've mentioned TikTok, lots and lots of great content being made available on there every day. Thank you very much. I hope you found that session useful. I will see you all again soon. Thank you and goodbye.